approaching something with such a passionate fan base like affect you, and how was that able to you keep it going?
Yeah, I mean, it's very scary when the fans look at you and they're like, you better not F this up. I've had some experience with that, luckily, when I did like the Justin Bieber documentary, Never Say Never. Believers are, you know, they're a thing. They'll tell you how they feel. I had a similar experience even with Step Up, because there's Step Up audience that love the first movie. So because I've done sequels, I sort of knew how that felt. But with the internet, I could actually have a real conversation with the audience, and I could actually become, if I wasn't a fan already, like I wasn't a Justin Bieber fan before, I had to get into his world, and I had to meet the fans, and I had to be on tour with him, and see and understand their love for him, and that really plugged me in to know how I wanted to tell the story. Oh, this is a story about how social media can choose, how this generation can choose their idols. You don't need a TV show to do that, or you don't need an album. They're choosing that person, and this person is engaging them personally, and they're growing up with this person. I thought that was a fascinating story to tell at that time in 2012, to be able to put that on camera. And so, with Wicked specifically, luckily, I had seen Wicked before it was ever on Broadway. At the current theater, my mom would take us to the theater every weekend, ballet season, opera season, musical season. And I was in my first year at USC, and my mom said she had just gone through chemo, so she couldn't go out for a while, and then she could. And she was like, Stephen Schwartz, who wrote Pippin, Godspell, has a new show called Wicked, based off the Wizard of Oz, which my family loves. We grew up on that. The American fairy tale, and so that's through the perspective of the Wicked Witch. So I went down, or up to the current theater, and I saw it with Kristen and Dina, again, before it ever, so I was patient zero. I knew nothing about it. And I remember sitting there watching it, being wowed by it. And so I remember, without any pollution, what moments made me excited, where I fell in love with the girls, where I rooted for them, where I was surprised. And so I have this very pure experience. So I am a fan. I watched that show grow for 20 years and have very strong feelings for it. So I tracked it for 20 years too, being like, someone's gonna make a great movie of this. And I know how to do it, but they're not gonna give it to me. And my agents and managers would call periodically, and they'd be like, not even answering the call. So when we did get the call during the COVID lockdown, I had just had my second child, so I was just having children. So my perspective was changing. America was shut down. Questions about the system and the structure of things and everything was being upended. And Wicked came to my doorstep. And reading those words from Elphaba, something has changed within me. Something is not the same. It hit me so hard. I was like, this is not just a musical about the Wicked Witch of the West. This is about us. And it's a re-examination of the American dream that I grew up in. This idea that the yellow brick road was made for us, that we were supposed to walk down and this man was going to give us our heart's desire. And suddenly we're like, oh, it's just, there is no man. And that road maybe wasn't meant for us. What happens when you look at your home and it looks very different? What happens when it feels like they're making enemies of people you know aren't enemies? And it just felt so relevant for me. I knew exactly how to make this movie. So in a weird way, the fans and all that stuff, it just all lined up. I knew where I was as a filmmaker. I had just done In the Heights, so I did my first musical, full musical. Thank you, I live in the Heights too. And I just gone through this Crazy Rich Asians phenomenon. So I knew the power of movies and what it can do to people. And how effective it could be for people to just live through someone else's eyes. And so walking into Wicked, I had a very clear idea of how we're gonna make this 2-movie saga and how we're gonna make it feel like it was here all along. and that it was a part of our upbringing, and it was a part of something that will be here till we're 90 years old. So that's sort of, they say at some point when you're the conductor of an orchestra, you've got to turn away from the audience and face the orchestra. And that's what I think I had to do.
And I think that's... I love that perspective of the yellow brick road is something that we've seen in our daily lives, and the way you brought the film, I think, is definitely viewers have loved it. That being said, the cast of Wicked is extraordinary. What qualities did you see in Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo that made them perfect for their roles?
Are there Ariana haters here? She's pretty cool. Arivanators, is that what they call them? I knew Cynthia would kill it. Did I think she would ever want to do Wicked? I wasn't sure. I also wanted to discover people. We had just discovered a whole new cast of people in Crazy Rich Asians. And we brought a lot to the table for In the Heights. And they were now all stars leading on the movie. So I was like, Wicked doesn't need stars. We can find 2 new stars. So we started searching. And the book completely opened to find people. And what we realized is, oh, these songs are really hard. I think there's a reason why professional people are professional. Like you need a little experience for it. And so we started going through that. We read every actress out there that was available and in that range. We saw so many great people. Everyone was fantastic. But I think that the idea of where it came from, of this time in our lives to make it relevant, everyone was doing a version of the show. And no one was doing the thing that I felt like they had to understand intrinsically, that it wasn't about the show. This was like, as if the show was based off of a real life story of these people. And so when Cynthia Erivo came in, finally I was like, okay, I didn't want to invite her if she wasn't even in the ballpark. If I was like, oh, I don't think she's right. So we brought her in, and the moment she sang Wizard and I, first of all, she came in a t-shirt and jeans. I'd never seen that. She usually wears giant dresses. She had just sold out the Hollywood Bowl or something, and so she'd come in the next morning, 8 in the morning, t-shirt, jeans, and she says, "Did that really just happen? Did I actually that?" And she became this little girl. I'd never seen her as a little girl like that. And then it grows and it grows from the Wizard and I. She hits that last note, and I'm on my feet. Like, I recognize that person. That person is me in a dorm room dreaming about being in Hollywood one day and thinking I could get to the edge of the cliff. And you look out and you think you can, but you're not ready. You'll probably fall if you jump. But oh man, it'd be so cool if I could. And that look that she gives when she turns around, she did that in her audition. And I was like, that's what this is about. She is what this is about. Every word in Wicked that I had known with every part of my body, when she sang it, it was like I'd never heard it before. And then Ariana came in. I was like, hell no, we're not. This is not gonna happen. She has declared it in the media. There's no way. She's not even gonna be vulnerable enough. She's not gonna, she can't, she has a very protected look, and she's gonna keep to that. But when she came in, she read. She was the most interesting person in the room. She was not Ariana Grande. Now you know her as that other side. But at that time, you didn't. I didn't. And so I brought her in again. I was like, no way, no way. And she came in, and we're like, just don't be Ariana Grande, be something totally different when you come in. And she came in almost unrecognizable. She did it again. Like, she's the most interesting person. She's never led a movie. She has acted in little bit parts, of course, in her show, but that's very different. Can she be that vulnerable, which is what we need in this movie? Galinda is very complicated. That's a fine line. It's not just a joke part. Like, especially in For Good, which hopefully you'll see later this year. She has to deliver Couldn't Be Happier. But that's the song that got it for me when she did it. Because she's like, I know this role. I know what it feels like to play a part that everyone needs the light from you. I know when the light is, you've given so much light that it's gone from within you. And when she sang those words, she's like, I've gone through many tragedies. People don't know it. or people don't remember it, or people choose not to remember it. And on a daily basis, I'm getting hit. And when she sings those songs, I understood it completely. Oh, you could take literally the most popular girl in the world and examine this character. At what point does this person pop her own bubble to engage with the world around her? And does she have the courage and the bravery to do that? And what does it take? And is that just as courageous as Elphaba, who has to fly off on her own when everyone thinks she's the enemy? I think both are very important, and both are so different from each other. So the fact that they inspired those ideas, and that we could talk about the movie not through the plot, but through its ideas, I knew we could do this together. So I hired both of them. They did not read together. We did chemistry reads with each of them with other people, because I didn't think they would match up. I don't know, I was an idiot. But I knew when I saw them both with each, I was like, it's gonna work. Even if they hate each other, it's gonna work. And it was fun to see everyone react to it, because I don't think everyone knew that it could work. But I knew the secret. I had the tape. And so the first time they ever met, they came to my house for dinner, and it was, again, lockdown COVID time, so we couldn't all be together, but there was a certain point where it just got okay, you could probably come if everyone gets tested or whatever. So they came over, and Steven Schwartz was over, and Winnie, the writer, Dana, the writer, was there, and I had a piano there in the living room, and so Steven Schwartz gets on the piano and starts playing. And he's like, do you want to sing For Good? And so they sang For Good in my living room for the first time they ever sang together. Then I really knew we got the goods.
I think we're all grateful that you were able to trust in something that maybe not everybody saw quite yet. I want to go ahead and ask you some questions now about your memoir that came out last year.